Hello folks, time for another video and shave. Well, today's going to be a different kind of shaving video. It's probably going to be a long one because I promised my son, who's 14 years old, he's not shaving yet, my son. But the other day, him and my mother and my granddaughter, they went to an uncle on my mother's side who is basically in a hospice situation, so he's not living in his home anymore. So they went over there to get everything ready for a estate sale. So pretty much so everything was up for grabs for family. So my son came home with a bunch of aftershaves and colognes, and I actually wish I went with him, but I really wasn't feeling well that day because all this medication I'm on. Some days I feel kind of crappy. But anyway, he came home with I put this up on Facebook the other day, but he came home with some Old Spice products, some colognes, but what was amazing about it is they're all full, okay? It's in the old ceramic, the ceramic bottles, and this is when it was made by the Shulton company. I don't know if you can see that there. And they were located in Clifton, New Jersey. So when I told my son how awesome and cool this was, he didn't really get it because he's 14. He doesn't really know about history. So I kind of explained to him. I was like, listen, I was like, well, he goes, but you have Old Spice stuff now. And I'm like, yeah. I said, but now the newer Old Spice stuff is made by a company called Procter & Gamble. And he didn't understand the whole company versus Shulton thing. So I was like, well, there used to be one of their factories located here in New Jersey, right where we live here. And he's like, wow, really? You know, maybe we can go see it and see how they make stuff. I'm like, well, they don't make it anymore. So I dug up some history for him, and I'm actually going to leave a link to it. It's not from Wikipedia, and it's not from Procter & Gamble's Old Spice page. This is actually a big history on the way that the whole Shulton company started. I'll leave that link down there. I'm going to give you some facts. I actually have them written down here so I don't forget them. But my son goes, well, can we go see the factory? And I'm thinking, I don't think the factory exists, but it still might be there. I know, like an idiot, I didn't really check a satellite photo. But I knew from reading this history that it was located on Colfax Avenue in Clifton, which it's only 18 miles away from here. So I begged my wife into taking this because I still haven't been cleared to drive yet from my cardiologist yet. But hopefully at the end of the month. But so we trek up there. Like it says it's only 18 miles away. It took us about 25 minutes. There was no traffic or anything like that. And Colfax Avenue is kind of not long, but it's residential now. But back, in the early, back in say the 60s or even 70s or even the 80s and 90s, it was pretty industrial. But some of the factories are still there. But I didn't see anything that was significant that could be the Shulton company, especially from some of the photos I've seen. Like when I put the link down there, you'll see the history. There's great photos of the outside of the plant or the factory, whatever you want to call it. And the lobby was spectacular. There was artwork in there that is now at the Clifton Museum. So it was kind of a cool trip, but I didn't see like a dummy, I didn't check. The only spot I could see that would house, because I think it was 45 acres. It's down, and I couldn't find anything. So when we got back home, my son was kind of bummed out that he couldn't see where they used to make, this, where he was really wanted to see where this was made. But so we get home, I get on hysterical aerials, and I find out that where it was, and I also found some articles about when they knocked it down, and all that was knocked down in around 2002. It made way for a place called Cambridge Crossing, which is now a giant over 55 community right there in Clifton, on that spot where the Shulton factory used to be, where they used to make all the Old Spice, and they made other stuff there too. And it all started with William Lightfoot Schultz was basically the guy who started off the Shulton company. He was born got it written down in 1876 in Ohio. He was born a Quaker, and not that it matters. And then he moved to Pennsylvania, and then he eventually moved to New York. And the early American Old Spice scent was originally for women. I was trying to explain this to my son. He was just like, well, I don't understand the aftershave. I'm like, well, You know, there's a history behind everything. So anyway, the plant in Clifton opened up in 1946. And it was 45 acres. And it was off of Colfax Avenue. If you're here from New Jersey, you might know the area. But anyway, so now it's got a gigantic over 55 community with condos, a pool on the site. But there are some cool photos in the little history I found on the Old Spice. So anyway, I actually do have a vintage Old Spice puck and a mug. I don't have it here. I didn't stop at our storage unit where that's being kept. So I told my son I would make a little Old Spice video today for him. And I'm going to use the Old Spice cream. What I do like about the cream is I like on the box how it says, smell like a man. That's so awesome. And I actually got some of that just squirted in my bowl. I actually just threw a little bit of water on it. I don't know, I just kind of do. It's been a couple hours since my shower. I'm definitely wearing the wrong color shirt because this is going to get all soaking wet and whatever. But I'm going to shave anyway. So I'm going to use the Old Spice cream. Of course, I'm going to finish off with the Old Spice cologne. And it smells fantastic. I wish I would have went to my storage unit because I would have grabbed some of the Old Spice that I had, the newer Old Spice, but I just forgot. But anyway, it smells great, and it doesn't smell. It's definitely different than the newer Old Spice cologne and aftershave. I'm going to use my molten silver brush with the 28mm Timberwolf knot in there by Rich Man Shaving. I'll bowl lather with that in a minute. I'm going to use of course, my Rockwell 6S on plate 4 with the chroma blade today because I haven't used the chrome in the last couple shaves and it has been one of my favorite blades. It's the Chroma Diamant blade, which I believe the Diamant stands for diamond in German. And I have something else I'm going to finish off the shave with, but I'll show you that when I'm done. So I'm going to just kind of wet my face, and I'm going to throw a little pre-shave on. I'm going to use, where'd it go? Huh. Oh, it fell on the floor. My little tiny sliver of Cube. I do have the Cube 2.0 sitting right there, but I might as well rip through that little piece of Cube from PAA. Oh, it's slippery now that it's really small. Sorry there, folks. It's a slippery little bugger when it's this tiny. I dropped it 3 times. That'll be a good blooper reel, right? It is my favorite pre-shave. I do have some pre-shave oils, and I do have some pre-shave that's in a glycerin form and from I think the original PAA, and I have some from Colonel Conk, but I like the Cube the best. The reason why I like the Cube is because people ask me, why do you like the Cube? Why don't you use a pre-shave oil? Well, for me, I find that when I'm cleaning up from my shave, it seems that some pre-shave oils stick to my brush, and then I have to wash my brush out with like a shampoo or a shaving soap. So that's why I like the Cube. It doesn't leave anything behind. It leaves your face slick, and if you use it actually as a pre-wash, it really cleans up your face very nicely. Sometimes I used to leave my original Cube in the shower, but then like after a while it gets a little soft. But I'll just let this soak in. The sun's coming in at a funky angle again today because I'm shaving at a weird time. In fact, my clock is off in here because I never changed the battery like I said I was going to. But I hope you enjoyed that little brief history of the Shulton Corporation. They made all kinds of stuff. After a while, they also were making some kind of medicated stuff, not under the Old Spice name, but under the Shulton name. But you can all see that when I put that link down in the description to the history. And like I said, it's not from Wikipedia or from the Procter & Gamble site. It's actually history I found on a fragrance site. Can't speak sometimes. All right, so that was the little sliver cube there. Yeah, I was kind of shocked to find out that the original Old Spice scent was originally used as a woman's, like, talcum powder and soap. So, kind of cool. Alright, so I'm going to lather this up. This video is going to be long, sorry. But I was going to kind of cut it or pause it when I did my lather here, but this is a cream, so this is going to lather up in a couple of minutes here. Especially with this 28mm knot. My son's in school. It wasn't like he said he wanted to be here for the video. He just wanted to. He actually watches my videos on YouTube all the time. He thinks they're funny. So, and he's ready to shave, except that he's not into it. And for some reason, my wife doesn't want him to start shaving. When he's 14, he's got that kind of peach fuzz going on there. But I guess when he's ready. I think I started to shave around that time too. And I think when I started to shave, I believe it was the injector is what I started with. And then I remember I tried as a kid, oh, I want to try the new electric razors that were coming out. That was in the early 80s. Because my father used to shave with a, he used to use those little crappy blue Bic disposables. And I tried that out a couple times and it just basically left me irritated, so never got into that. But I remember the Schick injectors we also had in the house, because I remember as a young kid I used to take the injectors when they were empty and pretend that they were little switchblades when we would play, like, you know, war and stuff. So just a little goofy history there. So I think this soap is ready to rock and roll. As you can see, it's a cream, so it's got that hint of that Old Spice classic scent. It's amazing how fast soap dries on my face, especially since it's still hot here in New Jersey. I had the air conditioning on friggin' almost every day, even at night a little bit. Even though we had the windows open the other night, it was still muggy outside, so I had to close the windows, turn the air on. Alrighty. So that cube is got that great pre-shave slickness on there. Just getting it out of my nose. Oh yeah, so to get back to the history of the Shulton Corporation, while they also had, you know, facilities in London, Paris, all over the world. But they produced most of their aftershaves and products in Clifton, a big, huge, you know, like I said, 45-acre facility there. And originally had the ceramic bottles, and then in the 80s they changed it to the plastic bottles. And then the sad part was in 1990, I think it was, they Shulton sold the company to Procter & Gamble, which we all know Procter & Gamble also owns Gillette now. So, and then they kind of changed the formula a little bit. They changed from using they still use the plastic bottles, with an occasional release of a special where they'll still produce the ceramic or glass bottles. And but they changed the cap, the little stopper that's in there, from the original gray cap to a red cap. I guess I wish I would have stopped and grabbed one of my plastic Old Spice, because I have them in storage, because, you know, I'm limited on space here. So, all right, that's nice and creamy. Just gonna clear my lips real quick. In the nose. Go with the Rockwell 6S, plate number 4. Chroma blade on its first shave. And it's funny because I just picked up, like a week or two ago, more of the cream off of Amazon because my original tube that I had of the Old Spice was getting low. And it was just amazing that the other day when my son was out with my mom, they went over there to help kind of grab some family stuff that wouldn't be sold in this estate sale. What I really wanted to for them to find over there was my uncle's father was in the armed services when the Hindenburg blew up in Lakehurst, New Jersey, and he actually has a piece of it, but my mother or my son couldn't find the scrapbook, and we don't know if it was taken by non-family members but my son did find the Old Spice. And the shocking part is the bottles he found, most of them were full. He found the lemon Old Spice too, or the lime. Which I know, looking around on the web, it's kind of rare, and a few of the bottles are totally full. Some of them have a little bit of missing, but I think it's more of evaporation because some little stoppers weren't pushed down all the way. And of course, what I asked my son was, I was like, did you find any vintage razors? And he was really like, what do you mean? I was like, you know, like, he goes, yeah, but that razor's new. I'm like, yeah, but you know what I mean, like some of the vintage Gillettes I have. So he said he didn't really look for those, but it's awesome he found the Old Spice stuff. He's actually amazed that when I was going over with him, telling him that, you know, here in New Jersey, we had a, you know, back in the, you know, the heyday of manufacturing, and, you know, when, you know, the United States produced a lot of product, we had a lot of factories and different brands that, you know, were made right here in New Jersey, and he just didn't, he really couldn't grasp it, which blew my mind, is that the new generation just doesn't get our history. And I guess that's our fault for, I guess, not really teaching them any of that, and, you know, kind of a shame, but he really got into it, like going up there and, you know, trying to find out what the factory was, and when he saw where all the, you know, the pictures I showed him online when we got back, he was like, wow. Because there's pictures with the, you know, the Old Spice production line with the scents, and there's also some talcum powder pictures up there. It's a good little history, so I'll definitely post that. By the way, that was a great first pass. Residual slickness is pretty decent, but I'm probably gonna count that to the cube. And I'll just grab some more of that awesome Old Spice out of the bowl. There's plenty of it. Do my second pass. Yeah, it would have been nice if I would have had my mug and a vintage puck of the original Old Spice shave soap, but I totally forgot, and I kind of got a busy week with doctors, and I actually have to see my lawyer this week, and so just kind of wanted to get the shave into the can, as they would say. All right, so get a little bit against the grain. I'll tell you what, folks, I really enjoy this chroma blade in my Rockwell. Hope this sound isn't too loud of my washer and dryer, because our laundry room is right next door to this bathroom. And I think with the new microphone setup, I think it kind of filters out some of that background noise, because it's pretty loud in here on my end. So and the Old Spice cream that I have, it was rather inexpensive. I actually picked that up. I actually picked up 2 more tubes off of Amazon a few weeks ago, and it was, I know it was less than, I think, $10, or maybe at $10. It wasn't that expensive at all. My original tube of the Old Spice cream that I first started using was from my buddy Joshua Cole. Sent me that a while back when he sent me that awesome Carve Razor, the Carve Razor, the Christopher Bradley brass razor there. Wow. Got all kinds of noises in here today. The tongue test. Sorry this video is running so long, but I had that little bit of history lesson there in the beginning, so if you want to, like I said, I'll put the link to that cool history of the Shulton Corporation on the down the description links area of the YouTube. It's a good read, especially if you're on your computer. I rarely do things like that on my phone. I rarely actually watch YouTube on my phone. I always watch either on my computer or I watch YouTube on my TVs. You just get so more to look at when you're on your computer. Alright. My sink is looking like a furry beast. Seems to have a little weeper under here, but I had that the other day. I think I just reopened it. Residual slickness is still crazy, and my shirt could be wrung out. Alrighty, let me just rinse out my sink real quick. Sorry, folks. And I'll just recap the shave in a second. I'm just going to rinse my razor off while I have the water running. Alrighty. understand how I always get my sink so soaking wet. But I have my backup towel there, which catches all that extra moisture so it doesn't get on my clothes. Wow, looks like I opened both those weepers from the other day. That's okay. That means I should hit it up with some alum. I'll do a quick little cold water rinse. Yeah, so I did this shave because my son was so inquiring about the history of Old Spice and whatnot. And I told him I would definitely use some Old Spice product, and I would definitely use the Old Spice that he found. That is only not his uncle, but my mother's uncle. I don't even know what that would be as far as relationship. But they had a blast over there, kind of going through all the old scrapbooks and stuff. And there was a lot of World War II memorabilia, especially cool stuff about the Hindenburg, but that scrapbook with the pieces in it was gone. Kind of bummed out about that. And when we were kids, we always used to sit around, and my Uncle Eddie used to always tell about that. Alright. Alright, now my shirt is soaking wet. That's okay. Alright, so I always dry my face when I know I have to put alum on. I don't think. Alright, so I'm using the old Omega stick. And feedback is not too bad. Just a little stinging where I have the weepers, which were technically little weepers from my last shave. I just forgot about them. The rest of my face feels great. No stinging from the alum. I have a little red mark on my nose. I don't know where that came from. Like I said, sometimes this new medication that I'm on from my heart surgery and stuff, and my kidney surgeries that I had, the kidney stone surgeries, they create havoc on my skin sometimes. I get these weird blotches and then. Alright, so that was the Omega alum stick. I'll let that kind of just chill on my face a little bit while I go over the shave real quick. So, this was just a revisit of the Old Spice. I used the Old Spice cream. That's of course made by Procter & Gamble now. Razor was my Rockwell 6S. Plate 4. And blade wide in there is the Chroma Diamant. And I'll show you the blades right there. The Chroma Diamant blades. Definitely been one of my favorite blades so far this year. I still love my Balzanos and my Gillette Black, 7 o'clock blacks, and my Personas and all those other ones. It's just that my and of course the whole silvers. But for some reason lately, I've been really digging these chrome blades. Definitely doing me a solid. I definitely did. A little weeper by the corner of my lip there. That's okay. Alright, so you can see the cream I whipped up on my bowl. Didn't take much. I got my Richman molten silver brush with the new 28mm Timberwolf knot in there. And the Old Spice, you could tell, is a good soap. It's got good peaks, got a great scent. It's got good slickness. It doesn't have crazy slickness like some of the artisan soaps, but it's still got great slickness, good cushion. If you're into that big old poofy lather. To me, even if my lather goes on kind of thin, even though this was nice and poofy, it doesn't really matter to me. As long as the slickness is there, That's my main concern when I'm shaving. If my lather is like, not runny, but if it's not real big and thick, I don't care about the puffiness or the loft of the lather. I like it just to make sure that it's super slick, because if it's slick, you get the glide on the razor. You know, some guys like to have that 3 inches of foam, you know, that lather foam up on their face, which is fine. I like that too. But some soaps are a little more pastier than others. This soap is nice and lathery and poofy. Just rinsing out my brush. Sorry about the water. I know some folks totally freak out. I don't like to run the water either. I like to conserve on water. Alrighty. Really like this as my bowl lathering brush. I'm really digging that knot that's in there now. Brush is from Rich Man Shaving. When I bought it originally, it was called, I think, the Molten Silver, or something like that. Molten Silver Tornado or something like that. I don't really remember the exact name. But I always rename my brushes anyway after I get them. Well, except for like the smoke and stuff like that. Wow, my water is coming out at boiling temperature here. Just rinsing out my timeless bowl, and I just smacked on the sink. If that would be a ceramic bowl, that would have broken to probably 20 pieces. Oh, and just to get back to the history real quick, I did tell you that the plant in Clifton there closed in 1991. Soon after Shulton sold the company to Procter & Gamble in 1990. So that was kind of a bummer. Especially going up there now and seeing, I mean, I know you have to make money, and real estate is real estate, especially here in New Jersey. But it was kind of a shame to see these condos sitting where there was once a nice majestic front-looking building of the Shulton Corporation. There's not many of them left anyway in New Jersey. Some of the old classics are all gone. Like our Ford plants that were around here. We had 2 Ford plants. We had a Ford plant and then we had a GM plant. They closed up years ago, and during the war times, they were, you know, they made planes there, and my father used to tell me about the planes crossing the highway going to a little airport that they created across the street. The little airport's actually still there, but now it's like a Home Depot. So kind of sucks sometimes when you think about the history and what actually made the country, and none of that stuff is left. But at least my son was interested, just because he found a piece of history, so that's what really got him into it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, even though this is an aftershave, this is the Old Spice cologne. I don't know the year, but these bottles have been sitting in that house for a long time. And like I said, this is the ceramic bottle, and made by the Shulton Company. It says Shulton Incorporated right there. This is Clifton, New Jersey. And I'm just going to splash a little bit of this on, even though it's not aftershave. I'll tell you what, though, this scent is so different than the new stuff. It's just more spicier. Oh, it smells so freaking good. Whoa. And it has the gray stopper. I think the new Old Spices, the stopper tips are red now. But that was the Old Spice cologne made by the Shulton Corporation. And this thing is tippy top full. And so is the lime that my son found too. That's almost full too. And that's also by the Shulton Corporation. You can see the back of that. It's kind of blends in there, but that's from Shulton too. And he kept some for himself because he found a couple of these, so. And I was like, can I have more? And he's like, oh, I want to keep some myself. Dad. I was like, okay. So that's okay. I did have a vintage one also that I bought off of eBay a long time ago. When we moved, the bottle cracked on the top, so I panicked and I poured it into where I keep my concoction of like aftershaves. I have like 4 or 5 different aftershaves. So I actually have that scent in the aftershave, but it's in the it's in a concoction with all kind of different aftershaves that I keep in this bottle. This has like Aqua Velva, Panade, a little bit of Sage. It has the original Old Spice that was in here, and that was a pretty full bottle too. I went up dumping it in here because it was leaking. So, but now my son found that nice ceramic bottle. I have a keepsake. I did keep the bottle, but it's, like I said, it is in storage. So yeah, that was great. Now, that was just a cologne, so I didn't gain anything back on my face as far as like moisture. What the hell is that on my nose? But anyway, so what I like to use when I use the Old Spice cream is I like to use Soap Commander's Endurance, because it has that classic spice, the aftershave balm, and it puts back all those things that your face needs after a shave. The aftershave balm goes on like a nice subtle cream. It's not greasy. It doesn't leave a white film on your face. And it leaves your face feeling superb. Yeah, so like I says, my son was kind of bummed when the factory or the plant wasn't there anymore. And same thing happened up the street from us here for, you know, over 100 years. We had a company that's no kidding at the end of my block here, big. Now they made a art center out of it, and they knocked it down about 1.5 years ago. It was a big major factory owned by a company called General Dynamics. And in World War II, they made all the electric motors there for all the submarines. So we lost that bit of history a couple years ago, but that was a money thing, so you know, just can't keep an abandoned factory there forever. Even though Electrodynamics is still in business, but now they're in, I think, Connecticut. So anyway, little history there. All right, so that was an awesome shave, and you know, I thank my son for being so diligent in finding this classic Old Spice by the Shulton Corporation. Great find by my son Joseph. So maybe he'll see this video after he gets out of school, but I probably won't get it posted till tomorrow anyway. So alright, that was a great shave. So my shirt is soaked, but that's okay. Alright, so if you liked my shave and my video and all the history today, make sure you check the link down below, because I have all a little history going on down there about the Shulton Corporation. A lot of stuff I missed because there was so much going on with this guy, William Schultz. So yeah, thumbs up if you liked the video. Thumbs down if you thought it was a piece of doo-doo. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't subscribed already. There is that little cool icon depending on how you're watching this video. I know when I watch it on my phone, if I'm not in landscape, it doesn't show up. But anyway, it's there. Otherwise, you can just subscribe and hit the bell if you want to get notified of future videos. And that's it. So, yeah, that was awesome. And I'll tell you what, that Old Spice cologne, the original, I wish they would just go back to that formula, because it smells, I mean, it's close to what they make now, but it's a little more deeper and richer and got that spicier. Oh, I love it. Anyway, until next shave, because I'm rambling on, Glenn signing off.